Honourable Member to Uraroa Flavel. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, talofa lava, kia tātaka toi tēnei pō. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak at the second reading of the Taxation Annual Rates and Budget Measures. Mr. Speaker, there's been a key word in this budget: responsibility. The Māori Party is conscious of our responsibility to grow a country that takes us all with it by creating a positive future for every citizen in Aotearoa. We must protect our most vulnerable and no one must be left behind. Mr. Speaker, our role in Budget 2011 has been to call for a reasonable budget which takes account of the sharp edges of recession, but also invests in our mokopuna. Mr. Speaker, young Māori New Zealanders are particularly critical to the Māori Party. 54% of Māori are under age 25 years of age. We know that when we get the best deal for Māori, we get the best deal for New Zealand, for Aotearoa, because New Zealand's future is in the hands of our future workforce. Mr. Speaker, our youth, who are increasingly Māori, Pacific and Asian, need our support now, because their education, their success will be our support as we grow old. And we need to embrace diversity, as it will be through our combined talents and strengths that we can plan for the future. Mr. Speaker, the Māori Party's other key theme in shaping Budget 2011 has been in the notion of investing in the future. Our focus in education in this round has been on addressing some fundamental challenges, such as $60 million over 4 years to build new kura kaupapa Māori and upgrade existing school buildings. And I referred to a speech given by the member tomorrow will be the former member of Te Taitokerau Hone Harawera, who suggested that the Minister of Māori Affairs, Associate Minister of Education, Dr. Peter Sharples, had sold out on kura kaupapa Māori. I don't think so. An extra $60 million over 4 years is pretty helpful. It's been on investing $3 million over 3 years to support te runanga o ngā kura kaupapa Māori, to develop a curriculum and associated resources based on the philosophy of Te Aho Matua, and another $8 million over 4 years to realign kura transport assistance, which has been kept since 1995 with mainstream schools. And it's $6.5 million to expand family-based literacy programs to all Decile 1, 2 and 3 schools, building on the current Reading Together program. Mr. Speaker, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it couldn't have come about without the help and assistance and indeed the promoting of the Māori Party in this program with the national government. These are just a few of the new initiatives that the Māori Party has achieved in Budget 2011. And we say it's about whaia te rangatiratanga, taking control of our destiny. If we look at whānau ora, Mr. Speaker, that best embodies the concept of shaping our future, taking responsibility for our own solutions and being successful by trusting in a collective model. And this again is where the Māori Party comes in getting the National Party to change the paradigm. That's been important. Mr. Speaker, I want to return to the key planks in Budget 2011, protecting the vulnerable, investing in the future in relation to this taxation bill. With KiwiSaver, of course, we are concerned at the impact the proposed changes will have on the vulnerable. But also, and in line with the concept of whaia te rangatiratanga, taking control of our destiny, we need to also look at the wider issues around creating a savings culture. Mr. Speaker, we accept that New Zealand has a poor savings culture and we need to address this. High levels of household spending have fuelled inflation pressures over recent years, and New Zealanders have spent more than they earned. And consequently, the pressure on promoting the concept of savings is paramount. So we're conscious of the need to plan for what has been called the silver tsunami, caring for the baby boomer generation. So while savers and employers will have to pay more in the move to make the scheme more affordable over the long term, the government is reducing its commitment, and this may have a backlash effect in terms of discouraging savers and employers. Mr. Speaker, our other concern is whether the changes might prove unaffordable for lower and middle income constituents already struggling to cope with rising costs. We believe that those people on lower income should carry a lesser burden proportionally than those who are on higher higher income levels, and we will be concerned if any disincentive to save, such as in increased payments, would cause them either not to enter the scheme or to take contribution holidays. But sir, we're pleased the changes won't happen overnight. This will give people and businesses more time to adjust. Mr Speaker, I'll come back to being responsible. We've heard that KiwiSaver currently costs the government $1.1 billion. Halving government KiwiSaver contributions would save the government around $600 million per annum, we're told, and that amount of savings has to be good for the nation. Mr Speaker, the other big focus in this taxation bill is related to changes around working for families. From this legislation, it would appear that working for families will be better targeted at low-income families who have a much greater need for assistance, and a little less generous to the families higher up in the working for families scale. So we support this, and we support the intention to do this gradually in a way that minimises the impact on families. Mr Speaker, outside the scope of this bill, but well within the ambit of our focus, is the fact that the Working for Families package as such offers no poverty relief for benefit-dependent families. It does not sufficiently address poverty, or more to the point, child poverty in Aotearoa. And so while we support the refocusing of Working for Families to support the most vulnerable participants in the scheme, of course we can not ignore the situation of so many of our families who aren't even eligible for the scheme. We have a commitment to eliminate poverty. Poverty reflects worse on those who have but do not share than on the have-nots. We will continue to advocate to protect the vulnerable, the elderly and the young, the disadvantaged, and we will continue to focus on restoring whānau responsibility and investing in the future. Education is not a cost, but an investment in the future prosperity of the nation. But for the purposes of the second reading of this bill, we are prepared to support this second reading.
I call the honourable member